Hey, Wicked Deke here, taking a look at the Excellente NHL coaching jobs being done at the 50-game mark of the NHL season. Yes, we're past the 50-game mark. Oh, Lord. If your team's not in the playoffs, it doesn't look like it has a chance of going to the playoffs. Well, the last big exciting date may be February 24th, 2020, the trade deadline, which, as I record this, is about 21 days away. So let's start all the trade rumors that never come true. Now, there are some coaches. I don't want to let you in on anything you don't know, but there are some coaches doing a hell of a job. Most coaches are seemingly just punching bags for fans' criticism, but these guys, they're killing it. Now, it's not necessarily a ranking based on comparison to last year. It's more what they're facing this year and how they've managed to deal with it. And, of course, we have to start with Old Yeller. Yes, Torts. John Tortorella, the Tortorini, the hallway demon. He is doing something amazing. The Columbus Blue Jackets. Who thought they would be good this year? Who thought they would have any chance of making the playoffs? They lost everybody last year. Well, not everybody, but they lost what a lot of people thought were some key players. And you had, of course, Bob Roski, who took his game and took his talents and went to Tanland. And then, of course, you had Panarin, who wanted the big lights and went to New York. You had that guy who was at Colorado and then Ottawa, and everywhere he goes, teams seem to lose. And he's in Nashville now, and they're losing. And so on and so forth. And there was kind of a question of, well, how are they going to score? Now, they could always play defense because they have a very good defensive core. But the question was who would be in goal and who was going to score. And he's managed to figure it out. Torts has. He's put together a game plan that they're hard to play against, and they're very opportunistic. And I think they've won something like 17 games out of the last 22 or something. I think they've only lost like 2 in regulation. And if the season ended today, they would be in the playoffs. They've got 65 points. If they were in the West, they would be well into the playoffs. But obviously in the general East, there are a lot of good teams there with a lot of similar records. But nonetheless, whatever you may think of Tortorella, that is one hell of a job. One of the other things that's kind of interesting about Tortorella is the different ways he's done it. So when he was with Tampa, it was offense, offense, offense. When he went to the Rangers, it was defense, 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 block shots, and all of that. And then with Columbus, of course, last year it was safe as death. This year it seems to be more of, let's be a scrappy team. So he's doing it with different styles and what have you. And then, of course, if we look back at the playoff round last year against the mighty Tampa Bay Lightning, he outcoached John Cooper something fierce. So anyways, personality-wise, you're either going to love him or hate him, but you got to appreciate the results. I mean, he's done a hell of a job. It seems to me he'd be coach of the year at this point. Number 2, and this really pains me as an avowed Penguins hater. Mike Sullivan. So the Penguins have been out without Crosby for much of the year, and you know what that means as a hockey fan. Trade him! They've been doing well without him, so clearly they should trade him to start the rebuild because only he and Malkin only have a couple more years. I realize they're not going to trade him, but come on. You thought about it just for a second. But they survived the long absence of Crosby. Malkin's been good, not great in my opinion. I think he's got 13 or 14 goals. They got rid of, obviously, the hot dog over the offseason. There's a question where were those goals going to come from. They lost Getzel. Their defensive core, when you look at them on paper, coming into the season, certainly it was, but they've really kind of rallied together and had some breakout seasons. And in goaltending, Murray has been very iffy, good some nights, not so good others, but the other kid's been pretty solid. So he's kind of duct taped it all together, but you look at their record, I think right now they're second in their division. It's pretty damn impressive. That is an impressive coaching job. And so, again, as much as it pains me, you have to give him credit. And the third one might be a surprise. I've actually heard some people say that maybe this guy will get fired. And if he does, then I would have to say management of his organization are bloody idiots. And that would be Paul Maurice. Yes, Paul Maurice with the Winnipeg Jets. Now, are they currently in a playoff position? No, they're like 3 points out. But guy's done a hell of a job. Look at that team. More importantly, look at the defense on that team. he lost Trouba, he lost Myers, he lost somebody else. I don't even remember who it was. And then, of course, right before the season, Bufflin decided he wasn't going to play. Now it sounds like they're going to terminate his contract mutually. But nonetheless, that's pretty much your top four defense are all gone. Now they had, who is it, Maurice, who's been good. But, I mean, you watch their games, and that's a very young defense that makes a ton of mistakes. And, the goalie's been playing incredibly well. But it is hard to win in this league when your defense is just, a bit of a chaotic adventure every night. Now they're getting better because, of course, they're getting experience. But, I mean, did anybody think that the Jets would be on the cusp of the playoffs? Yes, I know they have offense, but when you look at that team and you look at that defense at the beginning of the year, I think there are a lot of people who thought this team would be nowhere near the playoffs. Just because if you can't keep the puck out of your net, well, you ain't going far. So I think Paul Maurice has done a hell of a job. I would certainly look at him. I mean, I'm not a Winnipeg fan. I'm not in Winnipeg. Who knows? Maybe he's doing other things that are annoying people, parking in people's parking spaces, dating people's wives. Who knows? But based on an outside look at that roster, you got to give him a big thumbs up. And he's been there for a while, and the guys are still playing hard for him. And that's kind of a sign as to whether your coach is worth keeping or not. Because as we've seen this year, there have been some other teams where coaches certainly seem to have lost the locker room. Number 4, an offer you can't refuse. The Sicilian. I don't know if he's Sicilian, but he looks like a mobster. Travis Green, Vancouver. There have been points this year when Vancouver has been in first place in the Pacific. Now, don't get me wrong, it's the mild Pacific, but Vancouver has started to, really show some potential to become a Series Cup contender here in the next couple of years. Some of the prospects that they thought were going to work out have. Certainly Quinn Hughes has been dynamic and frankly much better than his brother so far. And some of the other kids are coming along, in goal. Of course, Markstrom has been dominating. Everybody thought Demko would be the man, but looks to me like if you had to choose between the two of them, Demko's the one that's losing out on that. It'll be interesting to see if they resign Markstrom in the offseason. But nonetheless, Vancouver's quietly put together a pretty solid season. Are they a cup contender now? No. But they got some kids coming, and, they're starting to build towards that, starting to get momentum. Puck Colson is coming. I don't know if you saw the World Junior Championships. He was excellent again, terrorizing defenses. So be interesting to see him when he gets on the team. But certainly Quinn Hughes, I think we can say at this point, he's gonna just terrorize the Pacific Division for the next 10 to 15 years. He's been very, very impressive. So Travis Green. Full thumbs up. Also, he's managed to do this with Louis, the $6 million a year, 3-goal a year Eriksson on the roster. That's pretty impressive. And then 5, getting gritty. Yes, Alain Vigneault. Alain Vigneault has done something that most people who follow the Flyers never thought would be possible, and that is get the vets to be accountable. And he did this by taking away their ice time. Sounds like an easy thing to do and like something that would be logical and every coach should do, but you just don't see it a lot in this league, particularly with established stars. And Vigneault basically said, screw that. So at the beginning of the year, we had Jacob backcheck Voracek getting down into the 12 minutes a night time on ice, only a couple times, but he was usually averaging up around 18, 19, and most days now he's still around 14 or 15, I believe. But you saw not lesser players, but players who typically don't have a history of having issues with the coaches, but like James Van Riemsdyk, there was a couple weeks there where he was only getting 10 minutes a night time on ice. And Vigneault's response to questions was, well, when he wants to play, I'll give him more time. And so what we've seen with the Flyers is they, much like Columbus, are also right on the edge of the playoffs. I think they have 63 points going in to play the mighty Detroit Red Wings tonight. So I think we all know how that'll go. But Vigneault's been a breath of fresh air in Philly. And he also plays a very aggressive strategy style, which is very nice to see, and takes advantage of some of the talents of his kids. So I think those 5 are probably the best this year as far as NHL coaching jobs go. I'm sure you can bitch and complain about a couple of them, and you can feel free to post people below. I'm sure maybe I missed somebody big, but I thought that was pretty good. So next video, the 5 crappiest NHL coaching jobs at the 50-game mark. Take out.